Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Nakwam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and into the Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Mashiach, Wamalak Abashai, double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting and laboring for the second coming of our Lord Yahushai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent, and they're abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters that are out there zealous, diligent, and on fire, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom to the ancient men. Shalom to the children. Shalom to the elect of Israel scattered abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And shalom to everybody tuning in live through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashmi Abashai, Elder Daria Wash, Shalom, Brother Azariah, Shalom, King, Don Israel to me, Shalom, Yvette McKellar, Brother Believe, Benjamin Youngwolf, Nigel Blends, Two Braids, the producer, HBK Lit, Yasha Allah Yakad, Aka Rectitude, Kwame Yasha Allah, and again, everybody else tuning in and that will tune in, Lord willing. Preparing the table for the feast of that. It's like you're preparing the temple, right? Preparing the temple for the feast of dedication. So for all those who may not know, right? Shalom, King.
Shalom, Shalom, King.
Shalom, y'all. Shalom.
Yeah, Bashimel Shabakatah. How you feeling?
I'm ready for this live. All praise to the Most High. How you feeling?
I'm enduring, man. Ready for this live as well, man. It's gonna be beautiful through the spirit.
Come on. Yeah, and we got this feast of dedication coming up, man. Right? This Saturday night at sundown. Everybody should have marked their calendar. You should mark your calendar. We put out the calendar every year for brothers that follow the calendar of WFI on Instagram and other YouTube and other platforms. So your feast of dedication is December. It starts December 13th at sundown, right? It's a 8-day feast, December 13th at sundown. That's this upcoming Saturday night at sundown. So you have your Sabbath that comes Friday night till Saturday night. And immediately that Saturday night is the first day of the Feast of Dedication. So you'll have back-to-back Sabbath days and back-to-back days of no buying, no working, and no selling. Now, the first day of the Feast of Dedication is a Sabbath. Right? I just got to put that out there for brother. You got new brothers that may not know. You got sisters that's in this thing. You got new families that may not know. But I just want to bring this quick precept out through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shmuel Shai. Let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 10 and verse 6. I just want to pull this up, right? Just to show Israel the ordinance, right? This 2 Maccabees, right? Let's get this Salaki. Bear with me. I want to get the 10th chapter. And everybody should be in the spirit of reading 1st and 2nd Maccabees, man. Now you can be reading other books. You might be reading Jeremiah. You might be in the epistles, the gospels, the law. You might be, into the books of wisdom and Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. But you should really also be in the spirit of Salakia. I want 2nd Maccabees 1 and 18. You should be in the spirit of the Maccabees, man. Right? So this 2nd Maccabees chapter 1 and verse number 18. It reads, therefore, whereas we are now proposed to keep the purification of the temple upon the 25th day of the month Caslu. That's the month we're currently in. We thought it necessary to certify you thereof, that ye also might keep it as the Feast of Tabernacles, and of the fire which was given us when Nehemiah offered sacrifice. After that, he had builded the temple and the altar. So you keep it as the Feast of Tabernacles. When it says as the Feast of Tabernacles, It doesn't mean you dwell in a booth, right? You keep it in terms of how long that feast day is and what the ordinances are for the first day of that feast and the last day of that feast. The first days of Sabbath, the 8 days of solemn assembly, and it's also a Sabbath. So that's why the ordinance of it ties directly to the Feast of Tabernacles. Right now, let me get this in Leviticus 23. Right, and we're going to touch on preparing your temple through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemiah Shah. Right, this is Leviticus chapter 23 and verse number 39. Also, in the 15th day of the 7th month, when ye have gathered in the fruit of the land, ye shall keep a feast unto Yahweh 7 days. On the first day shall be a Sabbath, and on the 8th day shall be a Sabbath. So this is a precept that links up with 2nd Maccabees 1 and 18. You keep it as the Feast of Tabernacles. The first day is going to be a Sabbath coming in, and the 8th day is also going to be a Sabbath coming in, right? So make sure, brothers and sisters and families and households, and you're preparing accordingly for that Friday night to Saturday night, and then that first day when that Feast of Dedication starts. You know, you have your menorah, right? You're in the spirit. You're in Maccabees. You're thinking about the temple. You're thinking about the fire burning. You're thinking about righteousness, all of the things that pertain to the holy day, right? But you got it, King. I just want to bring that out.
Ryan said he was backstage as well.
Okay, Con.
But like the brother said, you know, it's important to make sure that you're following the ordinances. Shalom, King.
Shalom, Kings.
All the ordinances that the Most High has laid for us to keep this high holy day, how it's supposed to be kept. Because as you walk every day, going to work, going to the grocery store, to the bank, wherever you got to go, there's always something that's set forth to be a stumbling block, right? That's a just balance with the Most High, right? Let's go to 2nd Maccabees chapter 10, and we can start at verse number 3, right? It's always something that's trying to overthrow you and trying to get you out the spirit. And as we come closer into the Feast of Dedication, you should be examining your altar and your temple, how you moving in the spirit, right? What things are being cast down, what things are, you know, unclean, what things are defiled. You should be pulling that out and replacing it with new stones so that you could keep it in perfection, right? Be a beautiful temple to the Most High, right? This 2nd Maccabees chapter 10, and I'm gonna start it. Can you go up one, Bob Kashah? I'll start at 1. I'll read down to 5. Now Maccabeus and his company, the Lord guiding them, recovered the temple and the city, right? So the Lord guided us back to his law, statutes, and commandments, right? He recovered us from Babylon or whatever captivity we were sent on, right? He recovered us so that we can be a clean vessel unto him, so that we can wash away the filth. But the altars which the heathen had built in the open street and also the chapels, they pulled down, right? So all the strongholds that were holding us back, Christianity, maybe Islam, certain aspects in Catholicism, right? All these things are altars that the heathen built up, right? You may have marked your whole body with tattoos. You may have been running around in the streets doing things you ought not to do and having cleansed the temple. So now as we approach this Feast of Dedication, you should begin to cleanse your temple. You shouldn't just do it because the Feast of Dedication is coming. Well, you should always be cleaning your temple.
Right.
Always making sure it's presented worthy, that the Most High is dwelling therein. And they made another altar and striking stones. They took fire out of them and offered a sacrifice after 2 years and set forth incense and lights and showbread, right? They made the temple look beautiful, right? How the temple was supposed to be. And that's how you are when you come into this truth. You're made a new creature, but through, you know, trials and tribulations, anguish, spirits hopping on you, your altar tends to get dirty. When that was done, they fell flat down and besought the Lord that they might come no more into such troubles. But if they sinned any more against him, that he himself would chasten them with mercy, and that they might not be delivered unto the blasphemous and barbarous nations. Right? That's another cut to all nations. But this is the point right here in verse number 5. Right? Now, upon the same day that the strangers profaned the temple, on the very same day it was cleansed again. Right? They didn't wait 5 weeks, right? 7 weeks. So this is a complete amount of time that I've been defiled. Let me go ahead and get my spirit clean. No, on that very same day, on that day that you start to struggle with whatever is casting you down, on that day where you're swaying side to side and you're not as fervent as you are, on that very same day, you got to cleanse that temple. You got to make sure you look within yourself, beseech the Lord, ask the Lord to forgive you for whatever sins that you're dealing with, and stand upon your feet, and march back on that straight and narrow path that the Lord commanded us to go on. Even the 5 and 20th day of the same month, which is Caslu, right? So every day you should be rededicating your temple to the Lord, examining the temple, right? Making sure there's not unclean things dwelling in you, causing you to profane other people's temples, right? Because spirits like to hop off on people. You ever notice that when you're angry or when you're around somebody who's angry, you get that angry spirit as well? Just out of nowhere, right? Spirits looking to hop upon you, right? So we should always be doing this, but even more as we approach this feast of the dedication, man. This feast of dedication isn't just turning up and drinking wine. It's remembering the righteous acts that our forefathers did and the mighty acts that the Most High had them to be caused to be written in paper so we can remember them. Right, but you got it, King.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. That was a mighty point. Can brothers go to 1 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse 42? Baba Gashar. Yeah, and like I was telling brothers last week, now is the time to start getting your house in order. Your house should be in order, but have a magnifying glass upon your house, right? You don't want to wait till the day of. A lot of brothers, they wait till the day of to get things together or the night before. And then now you're not thoroughly looking as you would have if you would have took the time through the spirit with diligent search. When you actually raid and, remove things, that takes time. You don't want to look for the leaven right around Passover the day of, man. You will be a fool. You're sitting up there, you lifting up your couch, you're looking behind the refrigerator, you're waiting the day of, you're bound to miss something. The same way with the spirit examination, prayer, purging, reading, having a good understanding, all that takes time. I was reading with my wife earlier through the spirit, going into the Maccabees, and I'm trying to make sure I finish the book right before it approaches. That way, when I'm going over it again, that I could just touch back up and I'll have a good understanding of what I'm reading. A lot of the times, Maccabees, you got 60-something verses, 70-something verses, 50-something verses. A brother that's reading, he could get lost. Damn, dogs start barking, you fall asleep. You got to really have time and patience and diligence to finish those chapters, and not just finish them, but to be aware of what's going on in that book, to piece up the accounts through the spirit. It's the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 4 and verse number 42. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law. So, this is plain and spiritual at the same time, because in order to remove defiled stones, you yourself have to have pleasure in righteousness. Don't think you're going to remove things and you really don't want to remove them. You don't have blameless conversation. You don't know the law. You don't know what needs to be purged and be removed, man. These men had blameless conversation. Their conversation was of heaven. They had pleasure in the law. We read Malachi, the first chapter, and various other precepts in Malachi. They snuffed at the law. They snuffed at the sacrifices. They didn't want to do it. They didn't get their heart into it. Said, who cleansed the sanctuary and bared out the defiled stones. In order to know if a stone is defiled, you have to test the stone, man. You can't just look at a stone, just because it has algae on it, whatever the case may be. You have to really test that, man. Open it up, push it, apply pressure to it. See how the other stones are weighing on top of it. That took diligent search unto a clean place. So it's like your unclean place. They took all the defiled stones and they took them to an unclean place. And spiritually, that's the world, man. For brothers that are not together in the spirit, they're not in the spirit, and they're not taking it serious, you could be removed out of the temple. The temple was Israel, man, right? And the elect in the last days. If you're not doing what you ought to, you could be removed from what the Most High is building through his son being the foundation, and you could be removed back into that unclean place without the city. And when they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offering, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, man. Stop trying to save certain things that's going on in your life, man. That relationship you got with your cousin. Keep trying to mend it up, man. Hey, man, some things you got to let go. Grudges you got to let go. Situations, anxiety, pain, trauma. Certain things you just got to pull it down and start fresh, man. When you hold on to too much, you try to save it and bind it, it's not of the Most High. The Lord said, force not the course of the river. You're going against the will of the Most High and doing things on your own accord, trying to save things that don't need to be saved. You're not going to have it cleansed as far as you are concerned. The best way you could be cleansed, man. It says they thought it best. And then they all came together on one accord, lest it should be a reproach to them because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they poured it down, man. And the heathen, are wicked, but you have our people that are heathen, man. You got this world that has heathenistic customs. You got many things that could defile what you're building, and you got to pull that down and start fresh. There's nothing wrong with starting fresh, man. The Lord is likened unto the master potter, and we're likened unto the clay. And when you read Jeremiah 18, he pulled us down, and he made a new lump, the same way he liketh best. So the Most High could pull you down, man. When you're born again, you're a new man. You're a new woman in the spirit. So you have to pull down these things, these characteristics, these attributes, man, these personalities, so that you could be born again and perfect as much as you can coming out of these feast days. I got one more, Colossians 3 and 5, right? The book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 5. And we all need to be born again every day. The Apostle Paul said, I die daily, man. So you have to die daily. Don't think just because you feel like you're saved or you repented last week that everything is okay, man. To brother's points, it's spirits trying to hop on you every day, all day. There's a thought that troubles your mind, right? You get troubled in your sleep. There's always something trying to pull you out the spirit. So you have to wash continually because you're defiled even by your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, your covetousness, man, the things you want in this world. It's the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 5. Mortify, therefore, your members, right? So when you mortify, you cut off, you annihilate, you destroy, right? You get rid of your members. Your members, again, could be anything that a man has upon him. Now, looking at your members, man is likened to a tabernacle, 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 1. So you have to mortify those things that are attached to your temple. It says, which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, covetousness, which is idolatry, for which things saith the wrath of God cometh upon the children of obedience. So like it disobedience. So they come upon men and women that transgress the laws of God. Brothers got it.
Yeah, that's right, man. And it's very spiritual. There's nothing more important than looking inside, man, and building up your temple. I know it's good to drink wine. It's good to eat, right? It's good to be around the Akim. It's good to, a lot of brothers physically decorate their house, man. They put shields and balloons, and there's nothing wrong with getting in that spirit, but you want to examine, like we're going into, you want to prepare your temple, man. They didn't just build the temple just presumptuously with no plan, no methodology, no strategy. Anytime our forefathers built, man, it required men that willingly offered themselves. It required labor. It required organization. It required thought. It took a lot of planning and thought and resources to actually build the temples that Zerubbabel rebuilt, that Solomon built, the tabernacle that our fathers in the wilderness built, and even these tabernacles, man, and these temples. I want to get this in 2 Maccabees, right? Chapter 15 and verse number 17. It reads, thus being well comforted by the words of Judas, which were very good and able to stir them up to valor and to encourage the hearts of the young men, they determined not to pitch camp, but courageously to set upon them, and manfully to try the matter by conflict because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger. So in their mind, they knew that we can't sit around and prolong this war, because this is a battle. See, when you pitch camp, that's when you set up your tent, right? You set up your tent. All of the generals come together. They discussing what the battle formation is going to be the next day. You send scouts out there to examine the terrain, the mountains, the plain, to see where the flank is going to go. And there's a lot of strategy and rest and eating before the battle starts the next day, right? Our forefathers said they knew how serious it was. They said, we can't pitch camp, man. Meaning we can't prolong this matter, but courageously to set upon them. Who's the them? The Edomites. See, the them in these days, tying into this lesson, are these spirits, these demons, right? Lust, it could be pride, it can be envy, it can be slothfulness, it can be lukewarm spirits, it could be wrath, right? It could be it could be being an infidel, right? You have to courageously set upon these demons, meaning go into offense and stop waiting for them to come to you, man. In ancient wars, armies would march towards each other, man. And you got to wait for the battle to start. It said, no, we're going on the offense. And manfully to try the matter by conflict, because the city and the sanctuary and the temple were in danger. And knowing the times that we're living in, and we are the temple, the nation is the temple, we're in danger, right? We're in danger of being sifted out. There are spirits looking to sift us out. That's Luke 22:31. Right? Yahushua told Peter, he said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. So the temple is in danger. You got the nations plotting against us. You got seduction going on, wicked spirits. Verse 18, for the care that they took for their wives and their children, their brethren and kinsfolk, was in least account with them, but the greatest and principal fear was for the holy temple. Also, they that were in the city took not the least care, being troubled for the conflict abroad, man. So their level of focus and our forefathers' level of being, you know how they say locked in, that was locked in, man. It's not saying that they hated their wives and children and they put curses on their brother and their kinsfolk. That doesn't mean that. When it says they were at least account, it means they get their priorities in order, right? As men and warriors in these spiritual wars that you're involved in, you have to prioritize what's important. And the most important thing for our fathers was the actual temple. Why? Because the spirit of the Most High is in the temple. And that's how you got to look at yourself, man. Yeah, you may have your children, your wife, but you could be unprofitable to yourself. You could have a congregation, brothers. You could be over 5,000, over 5, or it could just be you. If you don't have the mindset of your temple being the greatest and principal fear, you're going to get overthrown, because your focus should be working out your salvation and purging out these spirits. Not worried about the latest debate in Israel, worried about who said what, worried about this whatever's going on out there, man. Folly and drama. Your greatest and principal fear should be, am I in the spirit? Am I purging out leaven? Am I examining myself? Am I preparing my spirit for the kingdom of heaven, man? Let's go to let me get another one real quick, and brothers got it. Let me go to 1 Chronicles, right? Let's go to 1 Chronicles. Our greatest and most principal fear was for the holy temple. Man, they wouldn't let nobody come look at the temple, man. I guarantee if you was an Edomite and you looked at the temple, your head was chopped off. Don't even look at the temple, man. They were going crazy for Yahweh Shemiah Shah, man. You read about them crossing rivers and lighting people on fire. You got to be on the offense, man. This 1 Chronicles, I'm gonna get 22 and 12, 22 and 13, right? Straight to the point. I'll read 14. This is what David said. Now behold, in my trouble I have prepared for the house of the Lord 100,000 talents of gold and 1,000 talents of silver, and of brass and iron without weight, for it is in abundance. Timber also, and stone have I prepared, and thou mayest add thereto. See, this is the same thing as Second Maccabees. He said in his trouble, he prepared for the house of the Lord, man. Right? And we're preparing, right? We're preparing for Jacob's trouble. We're preparing for affliction, adversity, every day. We preparing for trouble. Yahweh Shah said in Matthew the 6th chapter, he says, sufficient unto the day are the evils thereof, paraphrasing. Meaning we got a lot of trouble we got to deal with day by day. And David said in his trouble, in his affliction, when he was catching hell, his whole mind was still, I got to prepare for the house of the Lord. So no matter what you're going through, there's no excuse, man. You can't just prepare when everything's okay. Right? When you're not going through anything. You got to always, even in your affliction and your adversity, you still preparing your temple. Getting your spirit right, examining yourself, examining your household. Even when you have a rough day at work, man. Even when you feel down and out, even when them spirits creep in, you still have to prepare for the house of the Lord. Now, the beautiful part I like about this verse right here, it says, and thou mayest add thereto, man. So David told all of Israel, he said, here's what I did. What are you going to do? You can add to this. You can always add unto your temple. And David, he set all this stuff up, and he said, this ain't it. Don't look at what I prepared for the house of the Lord and say, well, I don't have to do anything. David had iron without weight. Iron without weight is infinite. Brass without weight is infinite. He said you can add to it. How do you add to something that's infinite, man? That's just, he had 1,000, that's 1,000,000 talents of silver. He told him, and thou mayest add thereto. Meaning you always got to be in work mode, man. It's never enough. It's never enough reading, never enough meditating, putting a plan together. You can say, well, look, for the next feast day or the next 8 days of this feast, I'm gonna read this chapter, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pray, this many times a day, I'm gonna challenge myself to do this. You want to add there too, man. Push yourself. I'm gonna read 2 more. Moreover, there are workmen with thee in abundance, hewers and workers of stone and timber, and all manner of cunning men for every manner of work. And you got brothers with you, man. You got brothers that can help you build upon yourself. It wasn't one man that built the temple, right? You had cunning workmen that can do stone, timber, all types of stuff. So it's good to have a brotherhood around you where you can get counsel, examine yourself, mark a brother. The Lord said, mark the perfect man. You might look at the trait of a brother, say, you know what? I need to start doing that. Or look at this brother, say, you know what, man, that brother got a good habit right there. I'm going to mark that, right? And look at how these brothers work in the temple. Of the gold, the silver, and the brass, and the iron, there is no number. Arise, therefore, and be doing, and Yahweh be with thee. That's a hell of a charge, man. He gave him an infinite amount of resources, and he said, add to it, arise, be doing, get the work, and the Lord is going to be with you, man. So you can't say, well, there's nothing I have to work on, right? You can't say that. Arise, therefore, be doing, the Lord be with thee, right? So look at what the Most High gave you, the precepts, the resources, the brotherhood, right? Your woman, see what things the Most High gave you and use these things, your knowledge, your experience to build your temple before this feast day, right? Brothers got it.
Con. That's excellent points right there, honestly. Quick precept on that. Let's go to Proverbs 24, right? 24 and 27, right? Perfect precept going into this topic, right? And then I got a precept off what the brother was saying, how the Most High has set everything up for us to have success, and to use the brotherhood, right? Perfect example of that is cleaning the house of the Lord, right? We always talk about this at camp. It shouldn't be one person who's doing all the work and other brothers just sitting there laughing and joking. No, everybody should be putting in at least some form of labor, to sweat, bend your back over so your back ache, lifting heavy things, right? The teamwork, what they say, the teamwork makes the dream work, right? The priesthood can't be done just by the sons of Aaron and that's it, right? It takes all of the Levites to do the work of the Lord, Right? This is Proverbs 24 and 27. Prepare thy work without and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterwards build thine house. So you got to prepare your work before you take the time to build your house. Right? You got to measure twice, cut once. Right? You got to make sure you have enough substance to buy what you need for that house to be sustainable. How much more the house of the Lord? Are you willing to count the cost that you might have to forsake mother, children, loved ones to serve the Lord? Have you counted the cost that you might lose your job because somebody might see you on a video, or your boss might walk across the camp? Are you willing to not go to work because they want you not to wear the proper attire? Right? It's certain things you gotta prepare thy work without and make sure it's fit for thyself. Right? And that's why it's good to have a strong brotherhood and sisterhood. So you can be encouraged. So you can be pushed to do right. Because you leave it up to yourself. Your mind is like 7 men upon watchtowers. They're going to tell you 7 different things. Oh, well, maybe working on the Sabbath isn't that bad. You know, I do need the money. They did tell me if I don't have an extra 200, I might not be able to renew my lease. And your mind will tell you all these different things to get you to do wickedness because your heart is wicked. But that's why you have a solid foundation and a solid brotherhood around you so you won't fall. You got to make sure your eye is singular. And if people around you's eye is singular as well, you're not going to be sidetracked. Right? You're not going to be pushed to the side with conversations of lasciviousness, of folly, of madness. Right? Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 29. Right? And let's start at verse number 11. And then we'll jump down to verse 15. Right? This is 2 Chronicles chapter 29 and verse number 11. My sons, be not negligent, for the Lord hath chosen you to stand before him. So this is Hezekiah exhorting the priests, right? Doing what's right in the sight of the Lord's eyes, right? Encouraging all the priests. Look, our fathers went off. That's why we have this wrath going on now. Let's do a quick 180 and do what we're supposed to do, right? Just summing it up in layman's terms. But it says, my sons, be not now negligent, for the Lord hath chosen you to stand before him and to serve him, that you should minister unto him and burn incense. Right? Like the brother says all the time, we're the priesthood of the household. Right? What type of incense are you burning unto the Lord? Are you doing strange incense that's going to consume you in the days to come? Or is it the finest of frankincense and myrrh? Right? That's acceptable in the sight of the Lord. Right? Are you teaching your children what they should know? Should your children be excited about Christmas? Or should your children be excited about the Feast of Dedication to come?
Right.
Right? Should the Sabbath day be a question mark in your household, and you got a 11-year-old daughter, and you supposed to have been in the truth 10 years, and she's never heard you say Sabbath in what 10 years you've been in the truth, right? Talking about what are those carpets on the bottom of your shirt, right? So the Lord has chosen us to break those generational curses that we shouldn't be ashamed. Let's jump to verse number 15, Baba Kishar. Right? We shouldn't be ashamed to set things in order. And this is what they did, to lay me back on the brother's point. And they gathered their brethren and sanctified themselves and came according to the commandment of the king by the words of the Lord to cleanse the house of the Lord. So you should be gathering with your brethren and sanctifying yourselves. Right? Not gathering with your brethren just to be drunk and argue and fight and cuss each other out. When we gather together, we sanctify one another. Right? We dwell in wisdom. Wisdom is right there with us, so we gain more understanding. You can pick this brother's brain up at the top, and then you can look at Orion and pick his brain too. Right? That's the true sanctification. You picking up the strong attributes from wisdom. Let's go one more, Sirach, chapter 15 and 1. So you can see the attributes that you want to have and build upon that. Not saying you man worshiping or you being I don't want to say something off, but you kissing ass, but you're acknowledging brother's good works. You got it, King.
So like it if we can I just read this next verse?
Come
on, you can break it down. And the priest went into the inner part of the house of the Lord to cleanse it, and brought out all the uncleanness that they found in the temple of the Lord into the court of the house of the Lord, and the Levites took it away to carry it out abroad into the brook Kidron.
Right. So they went to the inner part of the house of the Lord. Right. They weren't at the door. Right. They weren't at the entrance or the back part. They went into the inner part of the house of the Lord to clean it. So when you come around brethren, or when you're by yourself, you should be at the core of your soul, looking at the things that need to be rinsed, washed, and cleaned. Right. The two most powerful purifying agents in this world is water and it's fire. Right. You should be burning out the wickedness that's still trying to resonate and come back after all those years of being dead. That's why the brother brought out mortify your members. Right. Kill it every day you can.
Right.
And bring out the uncleanliness that's found in you. Because every one of us has uncleanliness that's still in us. Right? We're honestly our what the scriptures say, our righteousness is as filthy rags.
Yeah, filthy rags. Yep.
It's filthy rags. Because the little bit of righteousness we do doesn't equate to all the unrighteousness we did in the sight of the Lord. It's like wiping a window with a dog rag that you pick up dog droppings with. But that's why it's important to keep looking inside your spirit. Keep looking deep in the inner parts of the house of the Lord and take it far away. Right? Don't put it in your living room so you can look at it and reminisce and think about it. Right? Take it far away so it's out of sight, out of mind. Right? Just two more precepts. Sirach 15 and verse number 1. Then you got it, Ryan. And you know, I know it's hard. It's hard to do, but it's no better thing than to make sure that you're dwelling with wisdom, that you're with brothers who will reprove you, brothers who will inspire you, brothers who will talk to you when you need to be talked to, brothers who will get on you when you need to be got on. That's sanctifying yourselves amongst one another, right? Lord forbid you go to an Edomite and try to get correction from him, right? You'd be 10 times worse off, 1,000 times worse off. Right, but this is Sirach, chapter 15 and verse number 1. He that feareth the Lord will do good, and he that had the knowledge of the law shall obtain her. Right? So if you have the fear of the Lord, you're going to continue to look at the law, statutes, and commandments to see your shortcomings, and then you shall obtain her. And what's that her that you're obtaining? Wisdom. Right? Wisdom's not easy to come about in these last days. Right? Wisdom is hard. She hides herself. She may show herself and then she might run to somewhere else. And you're like, damn, I remember that precept. I had the breakdown. Now I can't have it. But if you truly fear the Lord, you're going to do good. Right? This verse number 3. I'm going to jump down. With the bread of understanding shall she feed him and give him the water of wisdom to drink. He shall be stayed upon her and shall not be moved, and shall rely upon her and shall not be confounded. So if you truly are cleaning out the inner parts of you, right, wisdom's not going to move from you. You're going to rely on her with everything, and you're not going to be confounded. You're not going to be confounded on how you should move, how your family should move, right? And you're going to truly live like how our righteous forefathers did, not like in all Chronicles where it says they did evil in the sight of the Lord. You want to be that name that says he did right in the sight of the Lord. Right? But you got it, King.
Khan, that's right. We can get a 2 Kings chapter 15 and verse 19 in the GNT. Baba Gashar. 2 Kings chapter 15 in verse number 19.
God.
All right, this 2 Kings chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse number 19. All right.
Can you see this?
Yeah, I can see it. It says Tiglath-Pileser, the emperor of Assyria, invaded Israel. So he ran down. This is a heathen. He ran down, right, invaded Israel, and Menahem gave him 38 tons of silver to gain his support, man, and strengthened, right, Menahem's power over the country. Right, and that's wicked because he's taken from the house of God. He's taken from really was supposed to dedicate the temple. It's supposed to go to the Lord and all of the treasures and things that belong unto his nation unto a stranger. That's what people do through the spirit, man. You let these heathens invade you, let these demons invade you. And he did that so he can be strengthened up, man. Right? I mean, he didn't trust in the living God. A lot of people, they go to, science, philosophies, they go to doctrines, they go to everything but the Lord, man. You've seen that time and time again, whether man was sick in the scriptures, right? Whether it's Saul, the Lord cut him off, whatever it is, people always seek to a medium, a necromancer, a wizard, right? A false idol, a false god, another nation. This society said Tiglath-Pileser, the emperor of Assyria, invaded Israel, man. I mean, any wise man would know this is your enemy. And Menahem gave him 38 tons of silver. That's a lot, man. That's not just your grandmother's closet of all her silver. 38 tons. I mean, what is a ton? 2,000, 3,000 pounds?
2,000 pounds.
If I'm not mistaken. That's a lot of silver he gave this man, man. Where did he get it from? He got it from the house of the Lord. So people take from the house of the Lord, man. And that could be twofold, too. A lot of brothers, they come to camp, they eat the food, they drink the drink, they put no work in, man. If you just come into camp and you do nothing, then you have to evaluate why you're coming to camp. If you don't know your position in this truth, everybody should be playing a position because we're all in the vineyard. If you're not working in the vineyard, you have to consider the spirit of your position in the vineyard. Because the last time I read in Matthew, the 20th chapter, he hired laborers. So if you're hired, you have to work. You have to be doing something, man. You can't say, well, it's little old me. Well, I just came in 4 years ago. Right? It says, and he gave him, right, silver to gain his support and strengthening Menahem's power over the country. Menahem got the money from the rich men of Israel by forcing each one to contribute 50 pieces of silver, man. So he's taken from his people, he's taken from the Lord, and he's doing all of this to build himself up right by the hand of the heathen. People do that, man. They build himself up in this world. They do everything that's against the commandments of God. Your power, your structure, your mind, your strength shall all come from the living God. And anything you do have really supposed to go to the Lord, man. Whether it be a tenth, whether it be your increase, right? The Lord said in the book of Sirach 35, thou shalt not appear before the Lord empty. Can you go to the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 50? 1 Maccabees, chapter 6. Right, in verse number 50. Right, it's 1 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 50. It says, so the king took Bethsura and set a garrison there to keep it. As for the sanctuary, he besieged it many days. So many days you're going to be at war, man. You know, you may fight Satan strongly for one day, and you feel like the next day, oh, he left me, man. That's not how war works. That's maybe how battles work. You may have a battle, but the war is always continually, man. The war is always. When you watch the movie Troy, for brothers that seen it, they fought and then they got some sleep. They woke up and they fought the next day, man. So, I mean, you have battles in the midst of war. You have lower battles that may be on the forefront, this legion of the wall, the back part, in the front of the castle, behind the castle, underground, but nevertheless, it's completely all war. So these things are going to be besieged many days, and he set the artillery with engines and instruments to cast fire and stones and pieces to cast darts and slings, whereupon they also made engines against their engines. So you have to meet fire with fire. You cannot sit there and play games with these spirits and these demons, especially when it comes to the high holy days coming up, man. If you play around and not evaluate yourself, you're going to be taken down in the midst of battle when the war is going on. So they set engines against their engines and held battle with them, right? And held them battle a long season. That's a long time you're going to be warned, man. Prepare your mind mentally to really catch hell, man. Because so it's not such off guard. When a man is on a football field and he get hit, it's not a surprise. But if somebody in the stands get hit, it'll take them off guard, right? They have popcorn in their hand. They got a big juice. They sitting up there. They dancing. They got paint on their face. They're rooting for their favorite team. They wasn't prepared to get hit, so it's going to overthrow their whole day. They even may break a bone. But people that are prepared, they understand what's going to take place on that field, man. You have to prepare your mind that you have battle a long season. And this season is going to get heightened and increase, because, again, you have battles in the midst of war. So these battles may be lower, but they'll increase with more soldiers, more lieutenants, more captains, more warriors, more men that is in the midst of that battle. Right, brothers, God.
Oh, that's right, man. You gotta protect the temple, man. Right, and brothers are making excellent points. I want to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, and I want to read verse number 9. Right, 1 Corinthians 3 and 9. Right, so this feast, brothers should be marking their calendar, man. This feast of dedication is right around the corner. Right, it reads, "For we are late." This 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 9. "We are laborers together with the Most High. Yea, are the Most High's husbandry. Yea, are God's building." Right, we're laborers together. Every brother should be doing something when it comes to building the temple. Right, putting some work in. Right, you don't have to know all of the parables to do the work of the Most High. You don't have to be in the truth 15 years to do the work of the Most High. Right, there's so many offices. There's so much work that has to be done, man. You have people that do, the scribes go crazy with the AI, the thumbnails, the flyers, the priests. You got priests, they do prayers, and you got apothecaries and herbs. There's so much to do within the nation. There's so much, man. We're the Most High's building, and we are also laborers together with the Most High. Right? Verse number 10. "According to the grace," and you could put precepts, I always say you could put precepts on the comment board, man, that pertain to the lesson. You can exhort brethren. "For we are late," Slacky, verse 10, "according to the grace of the Most High, which is given unto me, as a wise master builder. I have laid the foundation," Slacky, "and another buildeth thereon, but let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon." Right, so the Apostle Paul was a wise master builder. He was the perfect man for the job. Yahweh Shai called him a chosen vessel. Right, he could speak Greek. You understand? He knew how to relate to the heathen. Israelites that lived like heathen. He was a master of the law. You understand? He was a Hebrew of the Hebrews. So he was a wise master builder. Right? It reads, "I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon, but let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon." So as you build and prepare, take heed how you build. Right? You can't, and when you build, you gotta, certain things have to be done in order, man. The cornerstone has to be laid, then the next stone has to be laid, right? Then you have to put this, you got to do the electric work. There's a process to build, right? They don't put you never see a building where they put the windows up first, then they put the bathroom second, and no, that there's a process. They lay the foundation, right? They do the steel beams and the support system, and they start building thereupon, man. You have to take heed how you build upon this nation and upon yourself, and you have to do things in order, and you got to take your time when you build, man. If you rush the building process, you might miss something. Right, you might miss that screw, or miss a damn step in the construction. There's been plenty of times brothers tried to build something from IKEA or Target or Home Depot, and you're missing pieces, man. Here you got 50 extra screws, right? And you're supposed to use damn 48 of them. But you think that the building or whatever you built is done already. You got all these extra screws because you said you don't need the manual. And it's leaning to the side. You got to take heed how you build. Everything matters in this knowledge, man. You got to take heed how you pray. Take heed how you treat your wife, your children, your brethren. Take heed what spirits are on you, man. How you teach your brother, what you say to another man, right? You have to take heed how you build. You can't be at the construction site doing whatever the hell you want to do and expect to retain your job. It's only a matter of time before you get fired. Right? Hey, I'm sure brothers we had them kind of construction jobs before, man. They will let you go in a heartbeat. They don't need you, man. They can get anybody to damn do that. Some of those jobs. Hey, but they'll let you go. I remember quick before I move on, I was building back in the day. We had to build these things. I'll just say it like that. We had to build these things, and they would fly us out to these different places to build, and it'd be like a 5-day project, right? 4 to 5 day project. You got to build it literally from the ground up. The refractory work, the brick work, brick cutter, a brick saw. You got to do all of that. Like Amos said, measure twice, cut once. All that hard work. You have to do the wiring. You have to do the pour the concrete down. You have to do everything. We had this one project we had to build, and we did it day 1, day 2, day 3, and then it came to day 4. And day 4, the measurement of how we built, right, was it was off by like 3 inches, 3 to 5 inches, and the wires wouldn't connect. Right, they had to connect, but they couldn't connect because they was off 3 inches. We had to do that 5-day project turned to a 10-day project. We had to get up there with a jackhammer, break the concrete down, we have to literally break the whole thing down and start all over again. Right, and that's what happens with brothers, man. They come into this knowledge, they don't know how to build, they fall away for 2 years, 3 years, and hopefully they come back. You got to take heed how you build, or you're going to end up breaking the whole thing down, right? You don't come in sincere, you come up another way. Let me read one more. It reads, "For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Hamashiach Yahushua." So you have to use the word of the Most High as the foundation. "Now, if any man build upon this foundation gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest, for the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by fire, and the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is," man. So everybody, you got to take heed. You want to add to the temple gold and silver and precious stones. What is that parabolically or metaphorically speaking about? That's speaking about righteous souls you bring in and righteous works that you add to the temple. You don't want to add to this glorious temple wood, hay, and stubble, because your works are going to be tried and tested through temptation and through Satan. So when that temptation comes, it's going to burn up and fold. That's what this means, that every man's work should be made manifest, for the day shall declare it. Noonday, affliction, the fire, right? "If any man's work abide, which he hath built thereupon, he shall receive a reward." So there's a reward for this, man. There's a reward on not just building, but whatever you build, it has to abide and it has to stay. You can't build for 2 years and then fall off, build for 3 years, fall off. You can't build wickedness, envy, pride into the temple, vain doctrines, confusion into the temple. You have to not only build, but you have to take heed how you build and what you add to the temple. Don't add confusion and madness to the temple, man. I'm going to read one more, brothers got it. "If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, yet so as by fire." So even you're going to be tested. The work that you do is going to be tested. Maybe a brother you brought in, he could fall off and be burned and went back in the world, and you're still here, but you're going to be tested too. So as we prepare for the Feast of Dedication, take heed to not just building and breaking down, but how you break down and how you build, because one more point, man. When we were breaking those, when we were building down, it's harder. It was harder to break it down than it was to build, because you in tight crevices with a jackhammer, and you got to break. It's hard to break that stuff down, man. It's harder and more physically burdensome to break things down by hand than it is to build by hand, man. So you got to take heed how you build. The brothers got it.
Con. Let's go to Matthew chapter 7 and verse number 24. Right? And I'm in the process of doing those IKEA dressers and doors. Them
Yeah,
things are difficult, man.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
things are a pain in the ass.
yeah.
Right? And to add input, it's okay to take a step back and go back to a process that you thought you had right and revisit it again. That's called examination,
Right.
right? A job that was, like the brother said, take 5 days. Sometimes it takes 10, right? But it's all about doing it the proper way. It's all about making sure there's no uh, gaps, nicks, and crannies that can be exposed or broken, right? That's why a lot of these houses, they fail housing inspections,
Right. Right.
right? Because the people sped through to build the house, right? If you want quality, it's not going to be fast, right? If you want something fast, it's going to be cheap. But if you want quality, you got to take your time. You got to examine. You got to ask questions, right? Brothers ask each other all the time, "What you think I need to work on?" Right? What should I focus on this week? Right? There's nothing wrong with going back, examining, and applying, the exhortation or the wise counsel, and making sure that which was breached or bent or leaning is standing up the correct way. Right? But this is Matthew chapter 7 and 24. Therefore, whosoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him to a wise man which built his house upon a rock. Right? So if you take the words that Yahweh Bashem Yahushua has given us and apply them and do what you have to do, you're going to be like a wise man that built his house upon the rock. Right? Let's hold this, King. Can we go to one of my favorite precepts, Sirach 27 and 3? Right? Sirach 27 and 3. So you got the just balance. Let's see what happens if you don't do it the just type of way. Right? It's Sirach 27 and 3. Unless a man hold himself diligently in the fear of the Lord, his house shall soon be overthrown. Right? And how's his house going to be overthrown? Right from the foundation. Right? The paint's not just going to chip. Right? You can repaint a house anytime. Right? The foundation is going to break. Right? When the foundation of a house goes, either you got to have at least 20,000, 25,000 in the bank,
Right.
or that house is ruined. It's done. There's nothing you can do when the foundation is done inside of that house. So if you don't hold yourself diligently in the fear of the Lord, it's nothing that's going to prosper is going to come out of it. Everything that you claim to have worked for, that you claim to hold value of, it's going to be overthrown and cast down. But if you listen to the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, and not just listen, but do them. Can we go back to Matthew Baba Kishar 7? Where he says, "Heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, he's going to liken unto you a man who's built his house upon a rock." Now, you don't have to worry about the foundation of a house that's built on a rock. Right? Mountains have been there since the beginning of the creation. Right? Nobody is picking up mountains and moving a mountain from Afghanistan to Brazil. Those things aren't moving. Right? Verse 25. "And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock." So that's how you, as the priest of your household, the head of your household, should have everything founded upon this rock. Right? It shouldn't be halfway on the rock, and then you're trying to get in some other type of way. Right? You trying to get in some other type of way, you're not following the sheepfold, you going to be like the brother's precept, that hay and stubble that's going to be tried in the fire. Right? And hay and stubble, those are consumed instantly. Right? If you put hay and stubble inside a fire, it's only going to last 15 seconds at the most. Right? Verse 26. "And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand." right? Sand is unstable, right? I'm not sure how many people have ever been to a beach, but you put water on it, right? You can slide, it gets slippery, it doesn't stay in place, right? It's easily destroyed. And the rain descending. Oh, you got it, King.
So, like one quick point about sand is it appears to be strong at the moment, or you know, or put together, but slowly it slides. I just wanted to bring that out too.
Like they got this process, it's called erosion, right? Erosion is where, well, that's really with rocks, but it's the same thing with sand, right? Years and years and years of water, it slowly starts to diminish and gets pushed away until it's there no more. And the rain descended and the floods came and the winds blew and beat upon the house and it fell, and great was the fall of it, right? Like, I know everybody done seen these videos of these houses built on the beach, right? Beach houses getting tossed into the sea and people recording it. That's how you are. That's how you are if your foundation is in your How Bashim Yal Shai. That's how you are if you truly don't trust in the Lord. That's how you are if you despise the chastening and the correction of the Lord. You're a foolish man that builds his house upon the sea. So once your house is built, upon the sand, right? Look at all this, man. That's what you are. If your foundation isn't your How Bashim Yal Shai, or you're trying to mix this new age philosophy of how Israelites should be, right? Who are we to determine how the Lord looks at us in these last days, saying this isn't the old days? Well, the Lord doesn't change. Everything He said is black and white for us to understand it, right? So don't be this house built upon the sand. And look at that. Imagine if somebody was in there, right? You're the house, and this is for the men. Your children and your wife are inside that house. Nobody's surviving that,
Right.
right? Everybody's dead. There's no coming out of it. It's 100% mortality rate. Is that what they say? Mortality rate? Yeah.
Mortality rate.
Yeah, everybody's long gone if you don't have the proper foundation of your How Bashim Yal Shai. Right, but you got it, King.
I was gonna make one quick point, Salakia. Yeah, you can't rebuild that, man. Stop thinking. See, some brothers do things and they expect the grace of the Most High just to be there when you're willfully going off. You know, hey, you go off, man. Your house get broken through. You can't rebuild nothing like this, bro. You know, you can't. Okay, let me grab that wood over there or that right. It's over. This is done. It's done. All right, it's completely finished, and there's no rebuilding. So you got to, like the brother said, man, you got to take heed, because one wrong move, you can always expect, well, I could just bounce back. I'm going to go the hell off. I ain't going to read for 1 week and I'll be good, 8 days later. No, man, you're going to, you're asking for complete destruction, and you can't expect to rebuild nothing like this. It's over. I want to make that point.
Con, that's right. Let's go to the mighty book of Ephesians, chapter 4, right? And I'm going to start at verse 16. Right, Ephesians chapter 4 and verse number 16. It says, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted by that which every joint supplieth. So, I mean, again, to your body and, your tabernacle, every part of your body, your tabernacle, your mental, your spirit, everything has to be fitly joined together. You can't just have, good reading, but you don't got good prayer, right? Your examining skills is off. You think everything is okay. Everything's okay to something's not okay. Something may be going out of order, whatever the case may be. Then you want to examine it. The Lord said in the book of, I can get a quick precept and I'm going to come back to that one. Sirach 18 and 20, man. Right? You have to examine before the judgment. You can't wait to judgment to then examine. The Lord said, before judgment, examine thyself. Meaning you have to understand why certain things is coming to you, man. The Lord speaketh. He's not just speaking in your dreams or when you get counsel. The Lord speaketh daily through the Spirit, man. Right? How you feel, your emotions, what comes upon you. Right? You may get a flat tire. You may get a broken bone, your house may be out of order. The Lord is speaking to you by the spirits that are on the earth, man. You may have an earthquake, which it just was in Japan. I mean, so many things that are going on, and the Lord is speaking. But you have to have the understanding to understand, that's the Lord speaking to me. Before judgment, examine thyself, and in the day of visitation, I shall find mercy. All right, we go back to it. Right, it's Ephesians 4. Right, I'm gonna start at 16. It says, from whom the whole body fitly joined together and compacted. So the whole body got to be joined together. That's your reading, you're praying. On one fold, you be in a tabernacle, but on another fold, Israel got to come together. We're the body of the Lord. It says that which every joint supplieth according to the effectual working in the measure of every part. So every part has to be put together in the exact place. Now, nobody's going to take an arm and put an arm where the leg's supposed to be. The leg where the arm is supposed to be, the ear where your thumb is supposed to be. You all jammed up. Your body not going to be working properly. The same way with your household, the congregation, or whatever the case may be. Brothers got it.
Come on. Yeah, the same way, man. You got to make sure everything's done in order. That's where the Most High puts the parts of the body to allow your body to serve him, right? You're created, like the brother's saying, in perfection to serve him. That's why everything's, your hands are where they are. They're above your waist. You can grab things. And the Most High didn't wing this thing, man. He didn't wing it, So the same way, to the brother's point, the way the Most High strategically designed man and brought man together is the way that we have to come together, man. Through design, through the spirit and power of the Most High. But I'm gonna get this before the brother come back. He go into it. I want to get this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemi Shah. Let's go to Proverbs 24. Right, quick precept. This Proverbs chapter 24 and verse number 30. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. Right, so he got out and he's observing, he's seeing what's what. Right, and brothers got to do that, man. Take walks, man. Get out. I know it's cold out, but man, you drive and you see, pay attention to what's going on, man. Brothers always say, whatever you see, 9 times out of 10, there's a precept for that, man. You're looking at the trees with no leaves, you might think of a precept. You might be at the beach looking at the water, you're thinking about a precept, right? You're seeing this and the wall broken down, you're thinking about a precept. So Solomon got off the throne and walked around and saw a vineyard of a man that had no understanding. Verse 31. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. You see that? So this man, he had no understanding, and the fruit of it was his stone wall for protection, to protect his house, to protect his family, his children, everything inside of his vineyard. It was all broken down to keep wild beasts out, man, and thieves and liars. It was broken down, and everything was covered with thorns. So a vineyard is supposed to yield wine to cheer a man for feast days, for sacrifices, drink offerings, and of all things of that sort. So instead of having things that please man, it was grown over with things that harm man, which are thorns and nettles. Verse 32. Then I saw it and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Right, and this reminds me of the precept that we always get at the end. That Amos pulled at the end of the lesson in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. The Lord said, "Woe be unto the man that is bound with his sins. It is like a field covered over with thorns, that the path thereof cannot be known. It is left undressed to be consumed into the fire." So this man being all covered with thorns really is a man void of understanding and a man bound in his sins, and he didn't maintain the stone wall. He knew the stone wall was cracking, but he didn't have enough wherewithal to maintain it and get it fixed. Verse 32. Then I saw it and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. So a lot of instruction you get comes through you being observant, It's not always somebody holding a sheet of paper and giving you instruction. You're supposed to also receive instruction through observation, right? Through being keen, through paying attention, through marking brothers and looking at examples and seeing what the Most High is doing with the elements and these different things, man. You're supposed to consider it well and receive instruction. You know, you might look at your house, man, and see where the cracks are. You might have been driving and saw a construction project on the highway that was taking 5 years and say, you know what, man, I can't be like that. I got to build. I got to get this thing done. You might have saw something where they said it was going to take 5 years to build, but they built it in a month. And you might receive instruction, say, man, I gotta haste to get better, to build myself up. This truth is also about observation, right? Observing. I'm gonna read that one more time. Then I saw it, considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little slumber. It's like yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man. You see that? So you don't want to be the brother whose stone wall in the temple is broken. Now, in the ancient world, before they got to the temple, when you study the sieges of Jerusalem, of the Babylonians and the Romans, before you can get to the temple, you have to go through the different walls. When you look up, not to be long-winded, I just want to pull this up, a layout of 1st century Jerusalem. You have 3 major walls. See if they give that. All right, let's see. I may not be able. All right. Well, brothers could probably look it up on their own. But you read about. Oh, you can't see that either.
The first one that you had up was pretty decent. That one.
Okay, let me pull this up. Salakia. I just want to pull this up. All right, that's kind of small. All right, but let me try one more. Salakia. Let me try one more. All right, this is a map, Jerusalem at the time of Yahushua. Right? Let's try this one. If not, then this is pretty detailed. All right, so you see the different walls, right? You at the lower city, you at the outer wall right here, and then you had a wall within the city, and you had the third wall that protected the temple. So you had multiple walls before you even got to the temple. You had to break through these walls. So a lot of those kingdoms, they would try to mount up to the temple, but it was too high, right? On the east side, you got to kind of go up the Mount of Olives and go through this elevated part. You couldn't do it. So that's what made Jerusalem so strong in the temple. But they had to go through these different walls, man, in order to get to the temple. So you don't want none of your walls to be broken down. You have to keep your walls intact. The Lord said, a man that hath no rule over his city or over his spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. So you have to strengthen your walls, man. Right? Strengthen your spirit. You know, how you deal with people. See, the temple is like in the spirit. When you look at this, it's like your mind. That's the inner part. But the outside is your communication, you know, how you deal with people, your speech. Those are the things that are closest to the outside. And you want to make sure that those things are strong as well. Because if your speech ain't right, then your mind ain't going to be right. The Lord speaks about that, man. Right? So it all starts with the protecting your walls, man. And the things that you think that really don't matter, once those things fall, it's only a matter before the temple falls. And that's how our forefathers fell. But you got it, King. I just want to make that point. I know Araya. All right, you got it, King. Back.
Come. Brothers, can you hear me?
Come.
All praise. Yeah, I want to give one quick precept, and then you got it, Amos. First Maccabees, chapter 12 and verse 37. First Maccabees, chapter 12 and verse 37. I'm gonna start at 36. I started 35. It says, after this came Jonathan home again, and calling the elders of the people together, he consulted with them about building strongholds in Judea, man. So he came together. So two building is a group effort. You can't be the only one building. Your family don't want to build with you. Your congregation ain't lazy. No, it takes a lot to build. It's not one man that's just building everything. And it's just on that man, and he's just the builder. Everybody else get out the way. No, everybody has to build. When you read Exodus, the 25th chapter, people brought things up. Exodus 35, they brought things up willingly through the Spirit that helped the building. It says, and making the walls of Jerusalem higher. So when you come together, my ideas may not be as better or as good as these brothers. You know, we all, like the Lord said, iron sharpeneth iron. So whatever I come with, those brothers, well, I like that, but you know, if you looked at it this way, well, damn, I ain't never think about that. You know, so you always want to consult with brothers. Brother may come to me and say something, I'll be like, well, that's a good idea. But if you tried it this way, maybe we can maximize the growth, or maybe we could do this and we could do that. So you want to come together like Jonathan did, man. See, Jonathan is a man of God, man of counsel. He has the charge just like David did, just like other men did. That had the preeminence at that time. There were governors, there were kings, there were leaders, right? But he didn't do it all on himself. Solomon had counselors. David had counselors. So he consulted with the elders of the city, man. And that's a good thing to do. It says, making the walls of Jerusalem higher and raising a great mount between the tower and the city. So going into brothers' points, right? You want to make sure you raise it stronger, and you want to make a mount between the tower and the city, for to separate it from the city, that so it might be alone, that men might neither sell nor buy in it. Upon this, so like upon this, they came together to build up the city. So they came together, man. And again, brothers, read together on the phone, right, amongst the nation. Don't just feel like, oh, I'm not in a congregation. It's nothing I can do. I mean, you could get each other's emails. I know if I didn't have no brothers to labor with, or no brothers to be able to learn from and or teach, or, you know, iron sharpeneth iron, or whatever I could do to help, I would try at the best of my ability to have that, man. If it wasn't for other brothers in His truth, I wouldn't be anything of what I'm trying to be, because brothers have helped me out, man, through counsel, through teaching. Look how elders have helped us, man. It's so much that brothers do behind the scenes and in front of the camera that goes for granted, man. We all need to be building each other up, man. That video that I saw when I first came into the truth, it wasn't for that brother at that time running across my feed, I may not have woken up at that second. But the Lord is going to, wake up, it's chosen regardless. But the work brothers do don't go unnoticed, man. It says, upon this, they came together to build up the city. So get help, man. You may not know what to build. I already examined it. I did this, I did that, whatever case may be. What else is there to build? Brother may say, man, have you looked at this? You may be building, but you're building the wrong things. Oftentimes, brothers, when they get their house, not all men, but they just building up their damn man cave, man. They putting that blinking bar sign up. They got stools, big, long sofa. They got 3 flat screen TVs in the basement, man. But your damn attic is all out of order. You got wires that's sparking. You got a hole right somewhere in the kitchen, man. And you get into those things last, but your lust of the things you enjoy in your house come first, man. You got to examine that. And coming together, oftentimes could tell you and show you and teach you things you're not thinking about at the time. For as much as part of the wall toward the brook on the east side was falling down. Now, what if I didn't see that my east part was falling down, but these brothers did, or vice versa? Those brothers that couldn't see something that I could see, I'm like, hey, Ak, examine that. Take a look at that. Maybe you've examined it, but, check, this area right here. All of that comes in intuition when you do what? You build together. So you want to build chiefly. Everybody got to work out their own salvation, but 2, it's good to get help, man. And they repaired that which was called Capharnetha, right? So they all came together. And that's a part of this truth too. The Lord said, gather thyself together. So you want to gather together too through the spirit. And again, if brothers don't have the opportunity to have a congregation in your city, your state, and you don't have the means to travel, take advantage of social media. Take advantage of the phone. Take advantage of these things, man. I've connected with a lot of brothers that I haven't met in the flesh through social media, through the phone, through the emails, shooting precepts together, going through councils, man, sharpening each other's swords up, building relationships and friendships, right, and brotherhoods through the spirit. So utilize what you can and don't make excuses. Brothers got it.
God. Let's go to Sirach chapter 51 and I believe it's verse 30. Right? That's a key point, right? The scriptures tell you, woe to he that is alone, right? Who's gonna help you up when you fall? And that's the problem. It's a lot of individual lights in these last days, right? A lot of individual lights who are gonna be looking for help when you haven't established a foundation, haven't showed yourself friendly to gain friends, right? Use this time, like the brother was saying, to take advantage of it, right? Have a good name. Make sure you're extending your arm to help. This is part of building the temple of the Lord, being easily accessible, right? Not in being a fool, just letting people call you at 3 a.m. You got work at 4, and but being a brother, a father to the fatherless, right? A brother to the widow, right? These are the things that the Most High requires of us to do in these last days, right? But this is Sirach 51 and 30. Work your work be times, and in Salakia, work your works be times, and in his time he will give you your reward. Right? So work your work. We're not saying that you got to be perfect. You are supposed to be perfect, but we know we all have flaws and we all have shortcomings. We're all not the best. Right? If you told me to go build a cabinet with just wood and nails, I would have the hardest time in the world. But there's also a brother on the other hand who can do that, who can help you. So don't be ashamed to ask for help. Don't be ashamed to say that you need assistance, right? Because that assistance that you need is still you working your work. It's still you putting in your brick. It's still you repairing, mending, building, whatever you need to do to sustain your temple for Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Right, let's go to 1 Corinthians 15 and go to verse 57. So it's all about work, right? It's all about work. But thanks be to Yahweh, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Right? All, like the brother said, counsels, right? Late nights doing videos, right? Being a listening ear to somebody who just needs to get it off their chest. All this work does not go in vain, right? Being an example to your children, right? Being there for your wife when she needs your help. You and brothers who are fathers don't know how much it means that your wife can look at you at the time of labor and know that they feel secure and be able to push through that pain. That's work. Right? That's probably one of the most important works. Right? Being a husband to the precious gift that Yahweh Shem Yahushua has given you. Right? All of this is summed up into work. And the Lord told us in Sirach 7 and verse number 15 to hate not laborer's work. You're not supposed to hate this. You're supposed to rejoice in it. You're supposed to be thankful that the Lord has given you this to do in these last days. That's why it says, but thanks be to Yahweh, that we are unmovable and always abounding in the work of the Lord. Right? The small things that you don't esteem as mighty, right? Texting a brother back, shalom. Just saying calm when a brother asks you a question. Those are works, man. right? It all is summed up to building the temple of the Lord, right? Don't think that you're just a small speck in this and that it doesn't have any meaning, right? Keep abounding in this work, right? Brothers got it.
Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. And the work don't stop, man. Right? The work never stop. I want to add to what brothers are going into, and I want to get this in Nehemiah, the 6th chapter, man. Our forefathers, all they did was work, man. You had Isaac, he was planting and he or working, and he received a hundredfold. You know, I tell you that in the book of Genesis, man. Abraham was working. You know, this Nehemiah 6:1. Now it came to pass when Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem the Arabian and the rest of our enemies heard that I had builded the wall and that there was no breach left therein, though at that time I had not set up the doors upon the gates. So Nehemiah was actually building, he was putting the work in, and word got out, man. Word is always going to get out, even on the spiritual level, when you begin to build. You might have heard what brothers have went into this lesson, or you may have had plans or some type of method that you wanted to apply to build up your household, to build up your wife, build up your children, build up your spirit. Soon as you start, you know who comes immediately. The Lord said, the sower soweth the word. And these are they by the wayside where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their heart. So when you begin to build, expect Satan to come instantly, man, or 5 minutes, or that same day, or whatever. Right here you are. You said, you know what, man? You know, them brothers Ariah made a good point. Amos made a good point. You know what? I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna start working. I'm gonna read. And all of a sudden, you get all types of damn alerts on your phone, and people beating at the door, and your stomach start hurting out of nowhere. You're getting tired. That's some spirits. Satan is hearing and working and seeing that you're beginning to build. And that's what was going on when Nehemiah was building. And he said there was no breach left therein. So whatever he worked on in the beginning, it was perfect. He wasn't done the whole job, but what he started, he perfected. When he built the wall, it was perfect. He didn't put the doors up yet upon the gates. That wasn't done yet. But whatever he put his hand to first, he perfected it. And they knew the next thing he did, it was also going to be perfect. Then the third thing he did, it was going to be perfect. They had to stop this guy, man. He's on fire. That's what you call when you hooping the hot hand. You know, he make three threes in a row. They call a timeout. They don't stop him, make 5 threes. You know, they call another timeout. And you can't stop, you couldn't stop him. All right. He pump fake, he come down, he cross you up, finger roll. So Nehemiah, he was doing work, right? Even though he wasn't done everything, what he started, it was perfect. Verse number 2. That Sanballat and Geshem sent unto me, saying, come, let us meet together in some one of the villages in the plain of Ono, but they thought to do me mischief. So you got these spirits trying to take you away from the work of the Most High. Temptation, right? But Nehemiah perceived that it was nothing but mischief that can come with that. You got to be mindful, man. You're beginning to build it even during the Feast of Dedication. I believe brother said that earlier. Satan is going to be there. Things may come off pleasurable to a woman you out of nowhere may, that you may find attractive, may inbox you, man. Right? Your job call you. They want you to come in on a Shabbat. Things that seem beautiful and lovely, you have to perceive that if it's not of the Most High, it's of mischief and Satan. And you have to tap into discernment. Right? And perceiving matters. Nehemiah was great through the Spirit of the Most High in discernment. I'm going to read 2 more. And I sent messengers unto them, saying, I am doing a great work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease, whilst I leave it and come down to you? Yeah, why would you stop doing the work, man, and go celebrate Christmas? Right? To binge watch the next Netflix series, man. Right? To freak off. Why should the work cease? To come down to you. So he understood what was important. The work of the Most High is more important than coming down and dealing with these spirits. And he said he knew how important the work is. A lot of brothers don't know that, kind of to Amos' point, man, the work that you're doing is a great work, right? Your prayer is a great work. Praying to the Most High is a great work. In the world of confusion and petitions to people make petitions all the time. To false gods, to their boss about money, to a woman, can I lay down with you? People make supplications and petitions to idols all the time. They roll in the blunt, man, get me high. I just need to get high. The work that you're doing is a great work. Prayer is a great work. Fasting is a great work. Doing lessons is a great work. Teaching, exhorting brothers is a great work. Checking on a brother is a great work. Teaching your children the laws and about the Feast of Dedication, who Judas Maccabee is, Mattathias, Simon, Jonathan, that's a great work. You know, getting your house together. You're doing a great work. Never downplay and never forget that what you're doing has never been done before. This has never been done before in the history of the creation. Building a spiritual temple for the Most High. Right? So you got to understand that you got to have some type of dignity in your work. Take pride in your work. You know? You got these chefs, these 5-star chefs, they take pride in their work, man. They doing the damn dish, man. They got to put the presentation together. They don't just cook the food good. They're so into it, the presentation got to be perfect. They drizzle the damn drizzle. They take the damn whatever they got, man. They put the flowers on there. They know how great the work that they're doing is. Right? Verse 4. Yet they sent unto me 4 times after this sort, and I answered them after the same manner. So you might rebuke these spirits once. They're going to come back once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and they're not going to switch up. I didn't say they came 4 different ways. They came after this sort, right? To try him, to break him down, man. To break him down. And he answered them after the same sort. So you don't have to switch up the war strategy, man. If you've had victory in the open plain, right? Don't try to fight the enemy in the mountains. They coming at you in the open plain. You won 3 times in a row, and you're gonna win a 4th time. These spirits that's coming at you, rebuke them. Use the word of the Most High. Don't switch it up, man. Or maybe if I, no, answer them after the same manner. Right? I'm gonna read 5. I mean, then sent Sanballat his servant unto me in like manner the 5th time with an open letter in his hand. So now the temptation is getting heavy, man. They hate us so bad they fabricated a letter. And I'm not gonna read this whole chapter, but they tried to put fear into his heart. Really, they tried to do psychological warfare and put fear in his mind. They couldn't get into him physically. They couldn't kill him, They couldn't tempt him. Then they tried to put fear into his mind to make him not do the work. You might be physically able to do the work, but doubt and fear and being apprehensive and depression and all them spirits, that can stop you, man. So that's when you read this chapter. I'm not going to read the whole chapter for sake of time. Oh, look, Sluck, let me just jump down to verse 9 and tell you that. For they all made us afraid, saying, their hands shall be weakened from the work, that it be not done. Now, therefore, O God, strengthen my hands. Man. So this is a beautiful chapter. He knew when to pray, to rebuke. This is the spirit we got to be in when building. People are going to stop you from building TV shows, Instagram, scrolling, your own pastime, your hobbies, and things that come off well. You got to rebuke them after the same manner, right? But brothers got it.
Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse number 3. All right, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse number 3.
What, 3 and 1?
Salakia, 2 Timothy 2 and verse 3. It says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, right? And the Lord calls his men soldiers. He doesn't call them, anything, man. You have a title. Now, your title, you may be a prophet, you may be a disciple, an apostle, whatever the case may be, but you also have another title, which is spiritual. You have a spiritual title, right? Being a prophet, you physically prophesy, right? You physically go out, you're an apostle, you physically travel. When the Lord is calling you a soldier, that's spiritual. We're not physically arming up, going to war with the government right now. When you're called a soldier, you have to spiritually fight against these demons and these spirits that are sent against you, man. And they're sent against you 24/7. 24/7, you got to fight, man. I mean, brothers are tired, brothers are sleepy, brothers got problems in their life, brothers got financial things going on, they got, spirits coming at them. All hell could be breaking loose to a brother's life, but that's not an excuse for you not to fight, man. And our forefathers, again, they was fighting when they was fasting, man.
Right.
I mean, they didn't have no excuse. You can't say, XYZ is going on. Why? Because if somebody break in my house, God forbid, I'm not going to sit there and say I'm eating, I can't do anything. Or I'm in the bathroom, I can't do anything. I'm eating, whatever. I'm painting, I'm reading, whatever I'm doing. I can't say that because I would get killed. You can't let the cares of this life distract you from spiritual warfare. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not coming at you. And the more nonchalant, foolish, and blind you act about the matter, the more you're going to be taken captive. That's Satan's job, to take you captive. Not take you captive just to have control over you, but take you captive to kill you. You have political refugees, you have these mercenaries, you have these certain men, they capture them, they torture them, they send an example to their nation, and then what do? They kill them, huh? That's how this thing goes. When you've seen, behind the, they got certain footage that's, not for children to see, but these overseas footages in these third world countries, they'll grab up a man, they have a bag over his head, man. They may talk to him. Yeah, you traitor, you did this, you did that. They may, torture him. They may beat him up, slap him around. And they'll get off on that. They'll have that little fun. They'll send messages. They'll make them deny their nation. They make them deny their customs, their policies. But what's the end all be all after the torture, man? It's death. So if you're going to torture right now, spiritually, and these demons are overtaking your mind, understand that it's not just to play with, man. This is not a dolphin, a killer whale and a seal. Just play with you all day and they may or may not eat you. A lot of the times when you look at nature, those killer whales, they play with the seal back and forth, man. They play with them. They kick them around a little bit, whether that's to get them dizzy, whether that's to knock them, senseless, whether that's just to have fun. God, the Lord only knows. But what eventually happens to that seal, if brothers know what I'm talking about, or seen it rather, when he's playing with them, smacking them around on those icebergs, man. He don't do that for fun. He do that to kill him, to eat him. So be aware when you're getting taken captive in your mind, your thoughts, your emotions, your desires. These things start to allude to you and try to, get into your mind that it's not just, Satan, he's just playing with my mind again. He's playing with me. He got me, right? It says animals play with prey for reasons like horning, hunting skills. So they may get their skills up, man.
Right.
Satan may send one of his lower level spirits down there to try you. Okay, well, he could do that. All right, send a higher level demon. It says tiring out strong victims. So they may play with you, may be real strong, but you tired of getting afflicted with the same thing. That's strategy, man. They say offense don't necessarily win games, it's defense. If somebody's coming up and they're blocking my shot 9 times out of 10, then it doesn't matter how well that I shoot because I'm getting blocked. If Satan can block your prayers, your spirit, your drive, it doesn't really matter anything else of how many precepts you know. It doesn't matter who you know or who you are, the defense about it. It says assessing health and instincts seen in cats, big cats, orcas, and even some birds and reptiles, right? Demonstrating complex behaviors beyond simple hunger, often involving practices, safety, or even social learning, right? So I mean, it could get serious, man. You know, these lions, they stalk their prey.
Yeah.
It's saying in the book of Hosea that the Lord is like a leopard, man, and he watches you. Right, look at this. That's camouflage. They spread off with, fast speeds. So again, these spirits, man is likened into animals.
Right.
They say you got a leopard, you got a lion in the scriptures, you got a viper, you got an adder, you have an ass, you have an ox, you have these characteristics of these beasts that man is likened unto, man. Right? The sea monster. There are
Right.
various things that you could read about that you could kind of mimic man with, the horse. There's various things through the spirit, right? It says, you about to pull something else, King?
Oh, look, I mean, they got this. You got this. This is a good one too. For health check.
It says it helps predators gauge if prey is healthy or sick. See that?
Yeah.
So they play with you to see, where your mind is, man, where your spirit is, how
Right.
fast you are on your feet, man. It says, well, let brothers go into that, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Lethargic prey might be diseased, while quick prey is a good meal. Man, yeah. So they, like the brother said, they just test you, man. They test you.
Yeah. And it gets psychological, man.
Yeah.
Right? You think they just out there doing God knows what, but it gets real deep. It says, Salakia, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of his life. Notice it says entangle himself. Why does he entangle? Because if he gets entangled, he wouldn't be able to fight. He's bound up, right? And what bounds you up? Your sins do. You can get a quick precept real fast. Proverbs 5. And I believe you can start at verse 12. Let me see. You can start at this whole thing. Let me see what I want. You could scroll down.
This way.
Like 20. Let me see. Hold on, Salakia. 22. That's what I want. It says, his own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he should be holden with the cords of his sin. So sin does what? It bounds you up. That's why the Lord said, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of his life. The affairs of his life bring sin, iniquity, sorrow, they delusions. So if you're at war, you can't entangle yourself with the suffering thereof, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier. So the Lord has chosen you to be a soldier and stand up in the army. Brothers got it.
God. I'm gonna learn me back on that too. Let's go to First Maccabees 3 and verse number 18. Right? And like the brother said, offense doesn't win championships, it's defense. Right? So when we used to play sports, after so-called Thanksgiving for basketball, right, the coach would run us, run all that unclean food out of us, man. We'd be at practice throwing up, hands on our knees, out of breath, right? And then you go run another couple back and forths, or they call them homicides, and you had to do it in a certain amount of time. And I realized that this was good defense, right? Because we would condition our bodies so that we'll be able to withstand those last minute shot clock games. The score is 101 with 10 seconds left. Do you have the spirit to dive on a loose ball? Right? Do you have the spirit to take a charge so that your team will win the game? That's great defense. Great defense begins with preparation, right? And so to prepare and to make sure that you're fit and ready to do this work, is the greatest defense that you can have. Right? This is First Maccabees 3:18. Unto whom Judas answered, it's not a hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few, and with the God of heaven, it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company. For the victory of battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but strength coming from heaven. Right? So to elaborate back on that point, right, we were a pretty decent basketball team, right? We were pretty decent. I think we might have lost maybe 2 games that year, right? But we understood that it didn't come from a multitude of people playing on the court. It came from us having that desire and that hunger and that strength to withstand unto the end. How much more in these last days, when you feel tired, when you feel weak, are you spiritually conditioning to be able to withstand maybe a great multitude of spirits coming on you? Right? You got lust, theft, or the spirit to want to steal, the
Right.
spirit of adultery behind you, right? Idolatry on the other side. Do you have that spiritual conditioning to be able to withstand till the clock says 00? Right, verse 20. They come against us in much pride and inequity to destroy us and our wives and our children and to spoil us. But we fight for our lives and our laws, right? We fight for our lives and our laws. That's why we're out here in the cold, holding camp, right? Teaching, doing all we can to magnify the name of the Lord, right? We hold fast amongst ourselves. We make decrees, man, so we can be spiritually fit to endure whatever wiles that those wily darts and fiery darts that Satan wants to shoot at us, so we can withstand it. We can outrun it. We can stand bold and fight for our lives and our laws. Because if we're not going to do it for one another, who's going to do it? Damn sure not Esau. He's the one laying the stumbling block. Right? Damn sure not Moab. He's laying the stumbling block. Ammon, Ham, they're all laying stumbling blocks. Ishmael. We have to do it. We have to fight for our lives and our laws. Right? These brothers ain't doing it just for themselves. They're doing it for all of us. I don't do it just for myself. I do it for all of us. And that's the mentality we have to have as master builders. It's not just for us. It's for all of us. Right? And not to land me on sports analogies. I know we about to wrap it up in a few, but what the coach would do would take the last man who finished those sprints or those back and forths, and he'll say, if this man doesn't do it in this amount of time, we're all running again. So everybody be standing on the side watching. And you know what we did? We cheered them on.
You got to exhort them. Yep.
We exhorted them. We over there clapping, yelling, and you know what? He finished on time. 9 times out of 10, he finished on time. Oh, you got it, King.
And real quick, and that strengthened the brotherhood.
Strengthen the brotherhood, man. That's what we have to do, right? When one of us is falling short, we have to stand there and fight for our lives and our laws. Exhort brothers, right? Know that the multitude that's against us isn't stronger than the power we have behind us, right? Don't get weak and start to get lackadaisical because you didn't spiritually condition. Don't be one of the foolish virgins, right? You being a foolish virgin, you're going to burn your house down trying to have all that oil, right? You want to see every nook and cranny in the house, and you weren't frugal with it, right? You got to be frugal with the oil that the Most High has given you, meaning don't waste it up for no reason. Be wise, be spiritually fit, right? And endure to the end, right? But brothers got it.
Kanye, I just want to get one quick account on the stand First Maccabees, right? Because our forefathers, man, they were extremely, to the brother's point, selfless, man. Right? This is First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse number 50. This is what Mattathias told his sons, really on his deathbed. Now, therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers, man. So the standard and the expectation was extremely high. He said, give your life. He didn't say do. A lot of people, you try your best, right? Put your best foot forward. And you get an A for effort. The expectation for us is higher, and this calling and the work that we do is higher than any other profession or any other thing that anybody can ever do. When you come into this thing, your expectation is give your life, be perfect, be zealous. That's our mindset, man. When you have, to brother's points about, sports and stuff like that, them championship teams, man, you know what they had in a gym or they had in a stadium? You had them signs that said be excellent or perfection. You had all them slogans, man. Damn. And you saw all of those banners and it said undefeated and be perfect. All that stuff work on your mind, man. So when you go into that team, you know that you can't come in there BS. That's why all them great teams, them Lakers, them Celtic teams back in the day, all them banners, when you played for them teams, when you got drafted, it was on. It wasn't a joke, man. And that's how it is even on a higher level in this knowledge. Once you're called, it's nothing but championship banners. The Lord said you got a great cloud of witnesses watching you, man. You got your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These are all champions, man. These are all perfect men of the Most High. You got Enoch, you got Noah. All these men are undefeated, man. So when we come in this thing, that's the standard, perfection. You have Yahushua, who's on the right hand of the Most High. He walked the earth, man. He slept how we slept. He got tired how we got tired, man. He dealt with temptation how we dealt with temptation. But all these, he's perfect. So that the expectation is to be perfect, be zealous, and give your life for this truth. Hey, these brothers work, man. Got jobs, man. Families, wives, children. But brothers get their life for this knowledge. And Most High willing, the Yahweh, Ba'ashmi Abashah, puts it in our spirit. If we have to literally give our life, then we do that. Right, I'm going to read a few more. Verse 51. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall ye receive great honor and an everlasting name. So this is a mental thing as well. Constantly reminding yourself that Abraham did it, Isaac did it, Jacob did it, Elijah did it. He was translated. Nehemiah did it. The Apostle Paul did it. Right? This thing is mental. That's how you get great honor. It starts with your thoughts. Verse 52. Was not Abraham found faithful in temptation? And it was imputed unto him for righteousness. Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. See, every brother's going to go through their distress, man, through temptation. Phineas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. He was on fire. One of our fathers, they endured distress. One dealt with temptation. Another one was zealous. He was on fire. He was fervent. Now it says Jesus, is really Joshua, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel, right? He delivered the Israelites into the promised land. He fulfilled the word. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. Yeah, he bear witness of the Most High, man, that they can inherit the land. He said these people are bread to us. Y'all tripping pretty much, man. This is going to be light work. If the Most High be with us, we can take them all down. And he stilled the people and bore witness to the Most High, right? David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Elijah, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. And thus consider, yea, throughout all ages, that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Right? And that's the spirit we got to have, man. Constantly putting our trust in the Most High. Throwing those prayers up, man. Praying that the Most High increases your faith. increases your trust towards him. And really remembering all the works of old, man, and reading those accounts. And it's a beautiful thing to go back over those accounts and see the zeal, integrity, the faith of our forefathers, and their names are all written in heaven, man. I mean, Nehemiah has a whole book in the Bible named after him, right? Job, I mean, these men have books in the scriptures named after them based off of their faith and their works, man. And he lived how you and I live, man. Right? But brothers got it.
Con. If brothers have anything else?
Brothers want to bring out.
All right, I get the mighty book of Revelation, right? Chapter 3 and verse 2. All right, mighty points through the spirit. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 2. Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain, that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Right? So be watchful, at least most definitely considering the high holy day that's coming up, man.
Right.
You know, and what you should chiefly be watching for is all of the wickedness and iniquity and defiled stones that may or may not be dwelling in you, man, and strengthen things up that may be lacking, because everybody is lacking something. Nobody's walking on this earth without lacking something, because you wouldn't hope in redemption. You wouldn't hope that Yahweh Shai would save you from something if everybody had all things together. So by chance, something is always lacking. You may forget something, man. Right? Right. I can get a quick precept, real quick. Matthew, I believe, 16. You know, and the disciples, they walk with the Lord. You know, but let me see, what do I want? Verse. You can scroll up. It's the beginning of it. Matthew chapter 16 and verse. See what I want. Bear with me. Oh, verse 5. It says, and when his disciples were come to the other side, they have forgotten to take bread. Right? And I was just thinking about that when I was saying you may forget things. Right? I mean, they forgot. You're a mortal man. You may forget to take. They forgot, man. There's certain things even the men of the Lord are going to forget to do. They forgot. That's carnal and physical, but nevertheless, it could be spiritual, man. You could forget certain things and attributes in your life that you need. The bread is Yahweh Shai, man. You may forget certain things, whether it be precepts, whether it be you're supposed to fast this week, whatever it is, it could be giving alms. So, I mean, again, no man is just without lacking anything, just waiting on the Lord, man. Because again, by hope, we're going to get saved, man. By faith, you understand? So, I mean, even on a carnal sense, it's something that you always lacking on some type of level, right? To hope in Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, right? So just make sure that brothers are continuously reading, praying, doing the work of the Most High, awaiting the high holy day, and importantly, preparing themselves with examination. Well, brothers got it.
Come. Let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 16 and verse 74. Right? Most High willing, all this was edifying, leading into the Feast of Dedication. And everybody has a mighty Feast of Dedication. And as well, in the midst of the Feast of Dedication, we have a new moon coming in as well. And that new moon comes in December 19th at sundown. Right? So that's next Friday night. So you have back-to-back Sabbaths again, right? It's always back-to-back Sabbaths when it falls on a Saturday night. But that Friday night and that Saturday night on the 19th and the 20th are the end of Feast of Dedication and the new moon. Just a reminder for Israel, right? But this is 2nd Esdras 16 and 74. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Be not afraid, neither doubt, for Yahweh is your guide and the God of them who keep who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord Yahweh. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift themselves up. Right? Go over this every week. Right? We're all gonna fall down. Right? It's not about how many times you fall, it's about the measure of man you are once you stand up, or woman, right? Don't let these sins continue to pull you down, right? You're greater than that sin, right? Have some substance to yourself. Take some pride in your name and don't let that foul blot stain your name. Woe be unto them that are bound with their sins and covered with their iniquities. Like as a field is covered over with bushes, and the path thereof covered with thorns that no man may travel through. It is left undressed and cast into the fire to be consumed. So if that iniquity is so great and you feel as though it's worthy to have you be cast into the fire and be consumed, by all means, you know, continue to play with fire till you get burnt. But if you truly fear the Lord, you're gonna cast off those old mortal thoughts, right? And put on that beautiful garment without spot and blemish and be perfect in the sight of the Lord. With that, I yield. Con, you're on mute, King.
Lock you, the water. Let me get the classic in Revelation chapter 22 and 12. It reads, "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be." So again, every brother should be understanding what times that we're in, man. You know, Yahweh Shah said he's coming like a thief in the night. He said, "Watch ye therefore and pray always, for ye know not what hour the Lord doth come." Right? He said at midnight, at the cock crowing, or in the evening, in the morning. And he said, "What I say unto you, I say unto all, watch." Keep watch, man. Right? Make sure you're building yourself up and stop thinking that you have years and years and years and years and days. The scriptures say, "Make no tear and turn to the Lord." That's not for everybody that we talk to on the outside at camp when we tell them, okay, you got to hurry up and get your fringes. Okay, you got to hurry up and put the blunt down. Make no tear and turn to the Lord. That's for us every day. That's for everybody. That's for me. Brothers cannot tarry to turn to the Lord, man, because the Most High is going to render unto every man according as his work shall be. And many people are going to die. The Lord said the slain of the Lord shall be many. Many people are going to die in the famine. Many people are going to die in the wars to come. Many people are going to be destroyed, man, by various other means. And we want to be under the protection and grace of the Most High. We want to fulfill what's written in Psalms 91 and many other Psalms. 1,000 shall fall at thy side and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Paraphrasing. So we want to be under the shadow of the Most High. So in order to achieve that, you have to build up your faith and do the works that our forefathers and foremothers did, and ultimately our Lord Yahweh Shai did. You know, so with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashakwam like Abishai, Brother Nakwam,
Brother Amos,
Brother Right.
Kwam Yashalom. Shalom.